I have been breeding olive eggers for about 6 years now, and I'm talking olive eggers as opposed to Easter eggers, in that I'm starting with true blue layers and Morans to create that first generation of olive, and then back crossing to either Morans roosters or Ameraucanas roosters to deepen or cause different spearmint mossy effects to those olive eggs. There is some kind of a science to them, even though olive eggers are essentially like a high-class mutt chicken. If you are wondering whether or not you have Easter eggers or Ameraucanas, a good place to start is looking at the legs, the shanks, because true Ameraucanas should have slate gray shanks with no feathers on their feet. I say all of that to say that when I first started with olive eggers, I started creating them using Legbars and Morans, and have since switched over to using Ameraucanas and Morans. And I want to talk to you about the difference between the two so that you can make an informed decision yourself. And just to give you a visual as we start, here we have Morans. She's actually a back-crossed olive egger. Morans. Cream Legbars. Well, he's an opal Legbar. Ameraucanas. And I would like you to note that when I reference Ameraucanas, I'm talking about purebred Ameraucanas, not Easter eggers. Reason we start with either purebred Ameraucanas or cream Legbars in our olive programs is because they are true blue layers. They are homozygous for blue egg genes, which means they are absolutely 100% of the time going to pass down at least one gene for the offspring to lay blue eggs. That, coupled with the dark brown genetics that come from the Morans, or you could use a Welsum or any dark brown cockerel, will give you your first generation of olive egger. One thing that's really cool about using Legbars in your olive programs is if you use a Legbar, or really any barred hen, golden cuckoo Morans, Legbar, that barred female is going to pass down a sex-linked trait to her offspring. So cream Legbars are auto-sexing, which means when they hatch, you can tell the difference between the males and the females because they look different as soon as they hatch. That Legbar female will pass down that barring trait to her male offspring. So when you use her with the Morans rooster, for example, in your olive programs, those offspring are both going to be black, but the males are going to have a yellow dot on their head, and as they grow out, they're going to be barred. And so you can have your own sex-linked olives for that first generation with Legbars. It's likely too that all of the chickens in that pairing are going to carry the Legbar crest, which is pretty cute. Legbars also tend to be more prolific layers than Ameraucanas in my experience. They just lay more regularly. The downside to the Legbars, as far as I see it, is once you get into the later generations of olive, so once you start crossing back to black copper Morans or you start breeding olive to olive, it's hard to know exactly which genetics are coming from each chicken to the offspring down the line, in particular with those back cross generations. So this is one area where actually the Ameraucanas may work out better for those later generation of olives, because I actually feel that the pea comb in Ameraucanas somehow is indicative of that blue egg gene. In my experience, roosters, later generations of olive roosters with pea combs that they're carrying down from those Ameraucana lines, they tend to be carrying a blue egg gene. And in fact, I know some breeders that use that as an absolute indication that those roosters are carrying a blue egg gene. The choice for Ameraucana also kind of comes down to aesthetic. Personally, I really love the Ameraucana beards and the look of the Ameraucana crossed olive egger offspring. This lady is an example of a Morans Legbar cross. She is a second generation back crossed hen though, so she's a couple generations down the line. Whereas this lady right here, this lady right there, this lady right here, and this gentleman right here are all Morans Ameraucana crosses. These pullets are all back crossed, so they all came from green laying hens who were bred back to a Morans rooster. And as you can see, this lady right here has that straight comb, so it'll be interesting to see if she lays brown or green, and if my theory about that pea comb versus the straight comb is correct. I will certainly keep you apprised of that information too.